Hello everybody, this is Amin
and this is Alex,
and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Galaxy S20 Fan Edition and why Alex thinks it's the best flagship class Galaxy phone you can get right now. Okay, so before we go into the details, this Fan Edition thing, I think it has a bit of a history, so I'm going to let Alex explain what Fan Edition is and where it started.
So the S20 Fan Edition, or better known as the FE, isn't the first phone that gets the Fan Edition sticker. If you recall the Galaxy Note 7, which is unfortunate that it had to be recalled due to some fire issues back in 2016. So after that, Samsung released like a repaired version. They call it the Galaxy Note Fan Edition in 2017. So that came with a smaller battery, which is safer, and yeah, it's still a pretty good device. But of course, that was the repaired version of the Note 7. So now, fast forward 4 years, so we get this, the S20 Fan Edition. So this is supposedly the phone that fans want in a smartphone. And during the launch, the way it sounds like, they're launching this because they understand the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic. So they're giving a phone that the fans want at a more affordable price point. So initially, people were thinking that maybe this is like a S20 Lite, but turns out it's actually pretty good. You get all the flagship features. It's not watered down like the Galaxy S10 Lite.
Okay, I want to go back to the Note 7 before we go into the S20 FE. The Note 7 had a problem with the battery, so apparently Samsung was like pushing the limits of battery capabilities back then too much that it compromised the safety and the stability of the battery, and the battery will accidentally leak or the battery will accidentally there are cells, and the cells will accidentally burst and it will short circuit and it will start smoking. It could be a fire hazard. So what they did was, this was for the Note 7, they had like probably one of the biggest recall they've ever had for anything that they've ever made, and they've recalled all of the Note 7 devices that's in the market that people bought and stuff like that, and the ones that's not been sold. So they had a surplus, and as you know, Samsung launch window is twice a year. They have the S series, which is in the first quarter of every year, and then they have the Note series, which is in the third quarter of every year. So the Note 7 back then was like a critical device, because Samsung was expecting the Note to deliver the financial numbers that they were looking for, and it didn't. And they had a surplus of Note 7. So what they did was they recycled them in a way, refurbished and recycled them in a way that they opened it up and removed the problematic battery and replaced it with a smaller battery. Other than that, nothing else changed with regards to the Fan Edition, right? And they didn't call it the Note 7 because nobody wanted to buy a Note 7, because everybody was expecting the device to explode and it had a bad name. So they changed it to Fan Edition. Now in 2020, the S20 has a Fan Edition, and that kind of like made me think, is there a problem with the S20 sales that Samsung has to take all this surplus,
It's not recycle this time around.
Extra stuff. We haven't gone into the specs, but one of the things that's quite curious for me is that Samsung has, in this phone, this is the Note 20 Ultra 5G, and it uses the Exynos processor, right?
For Malaysian market, we get Exynos processor.
Yes, so Exynos is a processor that's built by Samsung. It's homegrown. Interestingly, the FE, which Samsung builds as the one that's supposed to be cheaper, to be designed for cost-conscious customers, has a Snapdragon 865 processor. And that should be more expensive in terms of cost for Samsung because they're using somebody else's technology. So I'm a bit not skeptic. Okay, I don't know where this is coming from. To me, it's a sign that the S20 wasn't as well received as Samsung expected, and they had to come up with something, and they came up with the FE.
I think that's partly true, mainly because in Malaysia, especially in most markets in Southeast Asia, right? Samsung always launch the Exynos version in a market. When in other parts of the world, like in Korea and even US, they always get the Snapdragon version. To elaborate further, the FE actually comes in two versions. There's actually a 4G version that runs on the Exynos processor 990, and there's a 5G version that runs on a Snapdragon 865. And so happened that we're getting the 5G version and it's a Snapdragon 865.
Okay, we Malaysia is getting the 5G version. Thank you for that clarification. So Malaysia is getting the 5G version because a lot of Malaysians don't like the Exynos version. So Exynos, if you're not aware, has a reputation. The battery consumption is much higher than the Snapdragon, and the performance is not as good as the Snapdragon. So a lot of people, when they're buying, when they see Samsung launch a new device, especially in the Malaysian market, they will just like throw their hands up when they hear that it's an Exynos device. So that's the reason why the Fan Edition comes with Snapdragon in Malaysia. So I guess then this really is a phone that's built for the fans?
Yeah, you can say so. It's like finally Samsung Malaysia is listening to their fans,
Let's go down to the specs.
Okay, so upfront you get a 6.5-inch AMOLED display that pushes 120 Hz refresh rate. So that's pretty good for a 2020 flagship. And again, it runs on the Snapdragon 865 processor. It comes with 8 gigs of RAM, and it has 256 gigs of storage. That's double than what we get on the S20 in the Malaysian market. 256 is double.
On any S20, right?
Yeah.
Even the S20 Ultra 5G, which is like $5,000 when it was launched.
Correct. And then we only got the 128 gig version. Yeah. So finally they give me 256 gigs. So yeah, it looks like they're listening to us. And you also get a triple camera setup, but it's a notch below because you can't do 8K videos. You get a 12 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto camera that can do 3 times optical zoom as well as 30 times space zoom. And up front, you get a 32 megapixel selfie camera. And of course, the battery is quite big. It's 4,500 mAh. That's the same size as you get on the Note 20 Ultra, same as the S20 Plus. And you also get micro SD card expansion, which what fans want as well. And it doesn't skim on the Samsung ecosystem stuff. You also got NFC. You also get IP68 dust and water resistance.
Reverse wireless charging.
Yeah, we got wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. It can support 25-watt charger, but the charger, I'll talk about that later. And yeah, and also stereo speakers.
Yeah, okay, so on paper, it seems like this is like the perfect Samsung device. And okay, what about the price?
And it's going for 3,399 ringgit. 3,399. That's cheaper than the base model S20 when it was launched.
Okay, so Alex, when we were deciding about what to talk about in today's episode, right, you were like talking about, okay, we should talk about the S20 FE. Okay, the specs is nice, but the price, 3,300 and what? 99,
yeah.
I mean, isn't there like better phones at cheaper price?
I'm sure you can get cheaper phones with flagship specs as well. But then again, this is Samsung. Like you said earlier last time that, one reason why you get Samsung is because you have the whole ecosystem. You also have the assurance of the security stuff. And this device also gets 3 years of Android updates guaranteed. So you're pretty well covered in that aspect.
So I guess, right, in this respect, so if you look at all the range, so Samsung has still available right now is the S20, S20 Plus, and then S20 Ultra, and then you have the Note 20, Note 20 Plus, and Note 20...
No, Note 20 Plus. Just Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra.
Okay, Note 20 Ultra. So there are about like 5 different options in terms of flagships that you can buy from Samsung.
Yep.
If you remember, Apple has like kind of like the same thing. So currently they have the iPhone 11, 11 Pro,
Max.
and 11 Pro Max,
and the iPhone SE.
And then the iPhone SE.
Yeah. And
the iPhone SE, the SE name has always been built to say that, okay, you want the best processor, you can get that. You get the all of the latest things, the camera and everything, but there are some compromises. So it feels like Samsung is, okay, actually the Note 7 came before the original iPhone SE or before the
Note 7?
Yeah.
What Note 7 going to do it?
No, because what I wanted to say is that this is kind of like following some Apple's marketing product hierarchy style. So there's the FE, which is
Yep.
kind of like the SE,
Yep.
and then you have
Okay.
all the other flagships available for you.
Yeah, kind of, you can put it that way. Because similar to the iPhone SE, the
Yeah.
first gen, right, it was
Yeah.
released after the iPhone 6S was released.
Yep.
So it's like, I give you the latest processor,
Yep.
but something else has to go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the outcome and the impetus was the same. I think Apple, and there were a lot of reports back then. Apple had like a surplus of supplies in terms of the smaller screen phones. So what they did was they kind of like refurbished it, or not refurbished, they repurposed it and made a new version by using a newer processor. Essentially, this is the same thing. Okay, I'm not going to skimp. I think in terms of the specs, yes, it has everything, and you're right, it ticks all the boxes for me as well. Samsung Pay is a big deal, and Knox is a huge deal as well.
The software support as well.
Yeah, software support up to what,
Three generations,
three
yeah.
generations is there, and of course you get the best display that you can get on any phone with a Samsung, right? So you can trust that Samsung phones, at least the flagship range, has like really good display.
Speaking of display, right, another thing that fans love is that it comes with a flat display. Because if you notice that previous Samsung S20 devices come with a curved display, not many people were a fan of it because it's hard to apply the screen protector and all that. So this
Yep.
comes with a flat display.
Yep.
But unlike the Note 20, which is a huge downgrade in my opinion because you get a 60Hz display, this one you still get 120Hz. So that's a big plus.
So you're saying this is a better buy than the Note
Yes, definitely.
20, the base
Yes,
model.
Correct. Because the Note 20, the base model, right, is going for 3899, and then that's the LTE version. You want a 5G version, you have to pay 4299.
And they use the same. Okay, so the Note 20 uses the same processor.
No,
Or
it's Exynos. Yeah, still Exynos as well.
So why would you buy an Exynos phone that's more expensive?
Yeah, unless you really want the S Pen.
The battery's bigger.
The battery is actually bigger. So this one comes with 4,500 mAh
Yeah,
battery.
that one
The
has
Note 20,
5,000.
4,300 for the Note Ultra.
Okay.
You want a 4,500, you must go get
So
the Ultra.
yeah, okay. So I guess if you're balancing between getting a base model, okay. So if you have like 3,000 ringgit to spend on a phone, you want a flagship phone, and you want the Samsung experience. Yeah, I guess you're right. There's really not much. There's nothing to fault here.
Yeah, I would say that this will cannibalize the sales of a S20 Plus or even the S20 Ultra because number one, you get a Snapdragon processor, which everyone wants that very badly. You get double the storage, 256 gigs, and the battery is pretty huge as well, and you get a flat screen.
Yeah, and okay. So some of the problems that this has is the back panel is what we call glastic. It's kind of like plastic that's like glass.
But it feels good though. I like the matte finish of it.
Yeah, it looks so. That's the reason why I have the bronze color. This is the Note 20 Ultra, and this is the blue color.
Yeah, they call it cloud navy.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
is the cloud navy color of the S20
FE.
Fan Edition. And between the two, to be honest, I can't tell. And I have them side by side, so I can't tell. Can you tell what is the difference?
This one you can tell is more grippy. You can feel like this glass, this more plastic, but actually it's not much of a difference. But the frame though, this one is still metal. This one has like a glossy finish. I can't tell whether this is metal or plastic, but it still feels well put together.
Is that metal as in like
This is
aluminium
metal.
or stainless steel?
I think it should be stainless
stainless steel is more premium.
Yeah, more premium. But then again, if you're going to put a case on, right, you can't tell a difference.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
And I like the form factor. So this is a 6.5-inch display versus again this is the Note
Note 20
Note 20 Ultra, which is a
6.9.
6.9, almost tablet-like in terms of the display. So this fits in your hands very nicely. Yeah, it doesn't have a curved screen. I'm trying to find a problem with this phone.
Okay, you want a nitpick? No headphone jack.
This one doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
no Samsung phone. has
no Samsung flagships has a headphone jack.
The recent ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Since the S20 onwards, or Note 10 onwards.
It has a gorgeous punch hole display. Okay, what is aside from the Samsung flagships, right? What is the Galaxy S20 FE competing against in terms of price? What can you get for the same amount of money?
Well, you have other contenders like the Mi 10, I guess. So the Mi 10, Mi 10 Pro, and then what else you have? OnePlus. The hotspot mode is about 3,000 plus, and then you also got the OnePlus 8 series. So that's about 3,000 plus as well. And then most of the Chinese manufacturers. iPhone, it's hard to get under 4,000 unless you talk about the 11. But the 11 does have a full HD display. It's like a LCD.
Yeah, and the camera. It doesn't have a
triple camera setup.
Yeah,
you get dual camera setup. Huawei, well, there's our picture.
No, don't buy a Huawei.
There's no Google.
Don't buy Huawei. Yeah.
Because a close competitor for Samsung would be Huawei, but then again, no Google. It's a bit hard to push.
No. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with regards to the Fan Edition? So we started the show by talking about the Galaxy Fan Edition, whether it should be the one you should get, why it's the one that you should get if you're looking for a Samsung flagship. I was supposed to find problems with it. To be honest, I can't really find anything wrong with the phone. It's IP68. Okay, maybe I would like a 5,000 milliamp hour battery.
You want problems? I'll give you a problem. Since you're talking about battery, right? Okay, this supports 25 watt fast charging.
Yes.
But guess what they provide in the box?
15 watts, you told me, right?
Yeah,
okay,
15 watts. Like, why are you giving 15 watts? Like, do fans want a 15 watt charger? Come on.
Okay, we spoke about chargers and I want the biggest, baddest, fastest charger that the phone manufacturer can supply. If they can put in a 100 watt charger in the box, please put in a 100 watt charger in the box.
Yeah, but then again, okay, back to this again, it's 25 watt, right? But why can't you give a 25 watt charger? Like, why give 15?
Cost, I guess.
Cost? Okay, let's look at the mid-range devices.
Okay.
Like the Samsung Galaxy S21, the M51 that has a huge battery. Those came with a 25 watt fast charger. So if you can give your cheaper phones 25 watt charger, why are you giving 15 watt? It's like as if you're punishing them. Oh, you want a cheaper S20? Nah, I give you a 15 watt.
Well, I tell you why. It's cost and margins. So it's either it's because of cost or they want to make like a really huge margin on the phone. Essentially, because they don't have to like figure out the design and tooling because it's the same design as a S20.
I think it's different because first of all, the design looks different. In terms of the screen is flat. They don't have that on the S20 series.
They have it on there was a S with the flat screen, right? S20, S10? Was it the S10?
S10s were all curved. Only S10 Lite was flat. But then again, right, if you look at the design, to be honest, it looks like any Galaxy A series.
Yeah, it looks like a A71 to me from the back.
Yeah, it looks like in Samsung factory. What phone you want? 6.5 inch. Okay, here's the body parts. Just take and go.
So then, right, if that was the case, right, and then I'm gonna come back to the ecosystem where you have the Knox and you have the Samsung Pay and you have all that, right, smart things and everything. You get that with the A71. You get that with the lower end phones.
A51,
with the lower end phones as well. So why? I don't know. I don't know why how Samsung is making a case on why I should buy a flagship Samsung when a cheaper Samsung has all the same features.
Well, enthusiasts, like you want the best phone, the best processor, you want a Snapdragon 865 so badly, this is a go-to device. Because the A71 is great, but then again, in that price range, right, you have loads of competitors. Because the A71, you get like a Snapdragon 730 processor, and it's close to $2,000.
Yeah, at that price, I mean, if you don't care about the ecosystem, there's Poco F2 Pro, Poco X3 NFC, Mi 10T.
Mi 10T, yes, those are below $2,000.
Yeah, so people won't even consider getting a middle range or low range Samsung. They'll just go to Xiaomi, Poco and Oppo and whatever. Unless you're from Samsung and you want to maintain using a Samsung, but you're on a budget, then you'd probably consider a Samsung low-end phone.
So another thing about the S20 FE is that the display doesn't support the new adaptive, like a resolution mode that you get on the
adaptive
display
refresh rate.
So it doesn't automatically adjust the refresh rate based on the apps you use. So whether you're using for web browsing or playing games, it'll constantly run at 120 Hz all the time.
Okay.
But of course, there's a mode for you to switch it to 60 Hz.
So it's either on or off.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And of course, another thing I forgot to mention is that it uses a Full HD Plus display as opposed to a Quad HD display that you got on the S20 models. But that's not a big deal for me.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this adaptive refresh rate thing, right? It's not like they're going to cycle from 60, 80, 90 to 120, right?
Good question.
If that feature is available. I don't think so. And if this phone doesn't have it, and it does run on 120 hertz. So I mentioned in previous episodes, I don't understand what this big deal about high refresh rate is. So all those people here like make a lot of noise because it's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. I don't think so. I'm using the S20 Ultra. I had it. I turned it on for a couple of weeks. I didn't like it because it used up a lot of my battery, so I turned it off. Now back to the adaptive thing. So a lot of gamers will appreciate having 120 hertz. If you're watching movies, maybe not so much. And here's the thing: it has Bixby, and it has, I think, Bixby. There's this other thing. It's called Bixby.
Shortcuts.
Is it shortcuts or it's like Bixby? There's a name for it. I forgot what it's called. So you can program Bixby. It's AI, right? So you can program Bixby in a way that, okay, when you turn on an app, so let's say if it's Need for Speed and you want the high refresh rate, you can set it up so that Bixby will know that when you turn on Need for Speed, it will turn on the 120 hertz refresh rate. So it's a bit more involved in a way that you have to go into the system and tell Bixby that you want it to do this when you're playing the game, rather than the adaptive one, which is automatic. But I don't think it's an issue.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a good phone for 3,399 ringgit.
So
that's the show.
So my question to you is, will you get this or the Note 20?
Dude, that's the difficult question. Because I want to say, dude, I'm like a flagship guy. I will get like the most flagshipest phone that's available right now. But that's a cop out. That's like a main tipu punya jawapan lah. So if I had those two choices, it's very difficult because But then again, I'm not using a Note because I want to say I like the S Pen, but I'm not using a Note, so it's not a feature that I'm gonna miss. So I guess for me, if I have to choose between the Galaxy S20 FE and the Galaxy Note 20, the base model, definitely go for the Galaxy S20 FE for sure.
Yep, totally agree with you on that. And I think another thing that the S20 FE stands out is that it comes in more vibrant colors. You get like an orange, red, white, blue, lavender,
the
and
red
mint.
looks super sexy.
Yeah,
the blue looks nice too.
Yeah, the blue looks nice also.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter because you're gonna put a case over it anyway.
Yeah.
The good thing about Glastic is it's not glass, obviously, and if you drop it, if you don't use a case, it's not gonna break like glass.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing too. I was just looking at my phone and they have Bixby and also this thing called Bixby Routines.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't know about what Bixby Routines is, it's basically what I told you. You can tell Bixby to make the phone do what you want it to do when you want it to do it. All you have to do is just program it. So for example, for me, how do I set up my Bixby routines? So I watch videos before I go to sleep. So I will have my phone in landscape mode, but I don't like my phone to auto rotate all the time. So I will set up my routines in a way that if I'm at home and I turn on my YouTube, then auto rotate will turn on automatically. Bixby will do that for me.
Wow, that's a good tip.
So that's how I do it. Maybe we can talk about routines and how to maximize all the Samsung features in another episode of Let's Talk About. If you want to watch that, let us know. If you want, we also have a show called How to What Is. That's run by Ray and Nick, and they talk about like how to maximize, how to use. They share tips and tricks of everything that's technology, so you guys can check out there, and you can drop some comments, suggestions on what the next episode should be. Okay, so back to Let's Talk About. I think that's the conclusion of today's show. If you're looking for a flagship Samsung and you're on a budget, the Galaxy S20 FE is the best choice to get right now for 3,399 ringgit. And yeah, that's it, hands down. I don't have anything else to say.
That's about it.
Okay, so I just want to remind everybody, we are also available on podcasts. So if you enjoy listening to the show, this is a great show for you on your daily commute going to work, or if you're in the LRT, whatever, and want to watch videos, you should listen to Let's Talk About on podcast. We're available on all the popular podcast platforms. All you have to do is search for Let's Talk About on Spotify, Switcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we are there for you. If you're listening to us on podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. That helps us get more people to listen to the show because it gets recommended more. If you're watching the show on YouTube, please do give us a thumbs up. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, suggest, put in your feedback and your thoughts and what you feel about the Galaxy S20 FE in the comment section. We love reading those comments and we love engaging with you guys. If you are here and you're new to Search and Chow, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so this is Amin.
This is Alex.
Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.